All right, welcome back. Real Talk with Herschel, WKCG 99.1 on your FM dial. Now, the views expressed today on this show are those of Antoine and myself, and our guest that has just joined us, Dr. Robert O. White from Montgomery, Alabama. My friend, my brother, my buddy, um, and do not necessarily reflect the views of TOPS, WKCG, or its management. However true the views may be, they may not express the views of TOPS and its management. All right, Dr. White.
What's going on, brother?
All right, there you go. Good to have you in the house, as it were. I wanted you in the seat because people need to see your face. Because I think people starting to think you're just an apparition and you're not a real person.
Right.
But thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here today. For those of our listeners that don't know you, how about introducing yourself again for our new listeners?
Sure. My name is Robert White, and I've taught African American humanities at Alabama State. I've done that for 26 years, and I am currently anticipating a move into the Department of Criminal Justice, and hopefully I will continue to teach, but it'll be the courses of criminal law and evidence and those things that are pertaining to the criminal justice system, particularly the law. So I'm excited about the future, and I'm also a pastor. I pastor Montgomery City of Refuge in Montgomery, Alabama, and I'm just happy to be on the show and happy to talk about issues that impact our people.
All right, thank you. First thing, I'd be remiss not to say congratulations on your new digs.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
You have a beautiful new church.
Yeah, going on now. Got math tutors going on at the church now, so we're excited about all the things that are taking place.
All right. Well, we're going to jump you right in because I don't know how long we'll have you for. We were talking a little while ago about the mythology of our people, that's been taught to us, and the propaganda that puts us in a place that we victimize and we demonize one another.
Right.
People that are incarcerated, that's their choice. People that are on welfare, that's their choice. People that don't work, that's their choice. And that we're lazy. We didn't become lazy until slavery was over. Before that, we were the best thing since sliced bread.
Right.
And you gave a lecture talking about that little house, that little house that was given to Harriet Jacobs.
Right.
It's the same type of pathology. What do you think that we can do, or what do you think needs to be done to help break this cycle and this pathology that we have of self-victimization and demonizing one another?
Right, that's an excellent question. And one of the things that we have not done, have not put that much emphasis on, is a scientific analysis of the environment that we live in. And although we may have a certain ideological or spiritual point of reference that we make, if we would read books like The Crisis of the Negro Intellectual by Harold Cruz and others, we would see that perhaps our ideas of where we are and what type of system we're in have been shaped by people who have benefited from our confusion. And even you have black scholars or black researchers, as Dr. Bobby Wright, his name is close, sounds like mine, but and also you've got other people who have basically, Dr. Lawrence Reddick, who was Martin Luther King's advisor at Alabama State when he was doing his research there. You have scholars that are basically saying that you can't really depend too much on the African American teacher or the African American researcher, purely because they have to standardize their research, which means that they can't deliver a perspective outside of the European perspective because their dissertations will not be accepted, their research will not be accepted, they won't get tenure, they won't. So you have penalties taking place at all levels, even amongst African Americans themselves, when it is time to adequately identify just what type of environment we are in and scientifically analyze who it is that's oppressing us and their patterns. And so when we look at it, not from so much an ideological point of view, but from a purely epistemological thing, what happened to us, how much knowledge do we have of what happened and what has happened to us, then I think that until we do that, we'll continue to be like a little gerbil on a wheel, thinking that we're gaining progress, but we're just exhausted and wearing ourselves out because we really don't know that we are trapped, in a certain environment. And it's not until we do that, I think that we will be able to plot a course for self-assertion and self-perpetuation outside of the different influences that have really kept us from advancing as a people. And there's so many different institutions and so many different influences on our people that have kept out, particularly those who claim to be our leaders, that have kept them at bay or kept them misdirected purely because of false assumptions. And I know Richard Wright wrote on this, who ultimately went into exile, Marcus Garvey exile, W.B. Du Bois exile.
Yep.
After having discovered that the left-wing liberals, as I think Wright referred to them as Moscow, basically did not have black people's best interests at heart, although the socialist slash left-wing movement, liberal, has probably been the most, has spent the most money, time, energy, and effort studying us and analyzing our strengths and our weaknesses. And we would think that it would be, and just to use it in modern terms, we would think it would be maybe the current administration and their cronies that are doing the researching and are doing, but actually history shows is those people whom we think are our friends that have done more to analyze us and misdirect and redirect our energy and effort than those people whom we think are our enemies. Case in point, the whole issue about the current administration's relationship with Russia has origins and roots that go back to the 1915, 1920s, and 1930s, and it continues to manifest in the fact that the Russians know more about black people than any other group on the planet. They have studied us more. They have interacted with us more through different political movements and so forth, and basically are experts on Negroes. Well, it would stand true that they would be the ones that could come up with marketing plans and marketing schemes to stop black people from voting. So, understanding that unusual history that we have, and that we have been a studied people, we've been an analyzed people, we've been a traumatized people, we've been on display, we've been set up for amusement, we have been exploited and so forth. That is because the people that are doing it have taken a scientific approach to dealing with us and not merely an emotional one or ideological one or even a spiritual one. So when people say, well, Christianity is this, and, black people need to end Christianity, Christianity has nothing to do with what these people are doing. Nothing. It has to do with politics, and it has to do with economic and political power.
That's right.
And so we don't understand that. So we'll blame it on a religion or we'll blame it on something, when what those people are doing is just basically what people do is keep other people oppressed, regardless of the system that you're in. So my answer to your question is basically we have not even begun the process of what some people would call deconstruction, but we haven't begun the process to really study just who and how we are currently oppressed. And so until we do that, and that's going to require black scholars, black people coming together and having discussions without being meddled or intermingled or meddled with by outsiders trying to sway our conversations in other directions. And that's a whole other show.
You're right.
I have two questions for you. I want to start by asking how reading anti-colonial thinkers influenced the lens you use to apply to our condition. And I also wanted to ask you to elaborate a little on what you meant by European thinking and European styles of learning actually affecting how black scholars perhaps express whatever material they may have in their dissertations or anything.
Right. Well, I think when you study W.B. Du Bois's work in Miles County and how it was received and what happened to it, I think that you'll kind of get the idea. But my educational pedigree is somewhat unusual because I have a JD, I have a law degree, so I did not write a dissertation, but I did have to write papers, and I guess some of those papers, man, really just for a class was summarized as a dissertation. So big up to anybody that can make it out of law school, but what happens is that your topics, your methodology, your approach all have to be in line with, and I'm just going to say mostly with Hegel. And the Hegelian approach to African people in general. And so that approach is that we're actually a non-entity. And, we are approached as very problematic, not unto ourselves, but problematic unto the superstructures of American socioeconomic power. So that means that we can kill each other all day. That's not an issue because that's what we're supposed to be doing. But how can the problem with the Negro, and I put that in quotation marks, emerges when he cannot, his attitudes or behaviors, whatever they are, cannot be benefited from by white people. So you're not gonna, if black people want to do research on black people to help black people, then that's not gonna function more so than it is black people doing research on black people to help white people build institutions around the behavior of black people. So see that in, and here again, one book that I think you really need to read is Harold Kruger's book, Crisis of the Negro Intellectual, because it talks about that in depth. Also, anything by Lawrence Reddick is good. Also, Dr. Bobby Wright. I'm calling the same name because, a lot of people have not read this stuff and they don't know, just basically how restricted academia is to black thinkers and black thought. And I'm doing a presentation on that at the Skady conference in February. I don't know what a conference is going to be at, but on that very thing. But we have to understand that when we do a paper, and if we have any middle school kids or high school kids, or even elementary school kids listening in, and you select a black person as a topic, you have to be very careful because the standardization is basically that the information and the data must be used to support an institutional existence or an institutional premise and not necessarily the facts as they are, which means that when you look at some of the other writers like Besant and Cobb and Greer and Kenneth Clark and all of those guys, well, their conclusions were that basically black people are pushing for, or should be in some kind of way pushing toward an integrationalist idea, which might not be the case. The data might not show that at all. And so being compromised or just having to acquiesce to the status quo in sociology or in the social sciences is, Brother Antoine, like a biologist or an anthropologist or having to acquiesce to Darwin.
Right.
Right? Anything that does not support Darwin or does not support some type of evolutionary process, it's not going to even be considered.
Right.
Well, evolution is a theory, but when you throw politics into it and you throw so much economic and political support behind it, people, then yeah, I'm gonna be a monkey's uncle, and just throw a joke out there. But at the same time, we're restricted in what we can write about and what we can talk about, especially when it's time to go mainstream. That's why if you watch C-SPAN, C-SPAN is only going to cover certain events, and those events and those topics and those papers and all of that has to point in a direction. And that direction is especially dealing with black people, because if you notice, brothers and sisters that are listening in, is that we have a whole lot of black shows now, and there are a lot of books being written, movies being done, plays being produced, but very few of those plays draw as a conclusion black nationalism or black self-reliance.
And my next question is this, Dr. White. How do we as black people distinguish between a black person that is overly influenced by European thought and a black person that is drawn on either the black radical tradition or on what we know as African peoples?
Yeah, well, if I understand your question, it's the conclusions that are drawn. See, the way white people do research is they draw the conclusions before they did the thing, before they done the research. They know where they're going to end up. And you know how things are going to end. But with distinguishing the difference, number one, I take a look at the conclusions that are drawn, because regardless of what the data shows, self-reliance and self-perpetuation, self-knowledge, it's going to be the conclusion, regardless of whatever it is. And so at some point, here again, all of the people that I named, Poussin, Kenneth Clark, Cobb Grant, all of those people basically concluded with, can't we just all get along? Maybe if black people do this, then they will be able to integrate into that.
No.
That's why I did a piece called Maslow in the Hood, Abraham Maslow.
Yeah.
In the hood, and brothers and sisters who are listening in, all of this stuff is on the web, and it's not hard to understand. I don't want to discourage any of the listeners from looking up some of this stuff and talking about, because it's just stuff. I mean, it's not, these things that we're talking about are not things that anybody should be intimidated about, because if I mentioned the name Maslow, if you would Google Maslow, M-A-S-L-O-W, Abraham Maslow, and look up his self-actualization, and he's talking about life in general. He's talking about stuff we deal with every day, but he classifies it in 4 areas. But here's the thing. Where Maslow starts, black people have never, as a group, have struggled to reach, right? Where Maslow starts off at, right?
Okay.
Where he starts off at, black people will fight like hell just to get to where Maslow starts. So you have a large population of people who, in the eyes of people who are doing psychology, in the eyes of people who are doing social work, in the eyes of people, black people are not even at the level to even appreciate the institution. And they're correct. The reason why they're correct is because in order to take advantage of a high school or middle school or elementary school, you have to first understand that you exist as an individual. You don't go there to get the evidence. That should have been given to you by your upbringing, by your home environment, by your socializing with other people, by being in an environment that encourages you to be who you are and not somebody else. But hell, if you're still trying to like your skin because you think dark skin is ugly, you're not going to have a chance in this world.
That's right. Come on.
Done. If a little kid is pressed upon the fact that because they're dark or their hair is nappy or whatever, that they're ugly, and education is not going to do you a bit of good, because you can get a PhD and still be the most detrimental person to your people because you will instinctively use that information to hurt your people, not help. You will actually do what W.C. Du Bois said, you will actually join the very people who oppress you. And that degree that you get, the promotion that you get, or whatever advancement that you get with that mentality will some point is going to draw a conclusion if it's authentic that black people should do for self. If it's going to be authentic. And that's the big battle that took place, and that's where a lot of the so-called black intelligentsia, and I put that in parentheses, fell short at during the Renaissance, is that they never came up with any concrete, solid conclusions that average people could employ in their lives to help navigate through where we are. And that is heavily blamed on the influence that the socialists had on those black thinkers who never intended to give black people any kind of matrix by which they could give birth to a new, free, independent black culture to begin with. So I hope that's my take on it.
Well, it's amazing. I guess they say great minds think alike, because we just were saying the same thing about us. We got so many things that we were talking about, and it's just hard to pin down something specific. In the absence or with black academia having their hands tied and us not having any institutions of our own, what do you see as a way to help build these institutions? Because the only way to get the proper information out there is going to be institutional, right? So if that be the case, how do we build it?
Here's the thing. Like I said, when you properly analyze the environment, it will be individuals and not so much institutions, because the institutions themselves, a lot of especially HBCUs, are not set up to do what it is that we're talking about doing. That's why a people's laws and a people's constitution is their critical thinking. And the institutions are set up around that critical thought, right? Which means that you're not going to go to a school set up in America to teach you how to overthrow America. Does that make sense?
That's right.
Yeah, perfect sense.
You won't find that anyway.
Right.
But you'll have thought. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that is where the black mind has to be liberated from a lot of these concepts that were passed off as being ours, but never were ours to begin with. And that will come purely from a desire to be independent and to be a self-sustaining entity and organization. It really comes from a sincerity of wanting to be independent from the forces that is kept you. That's why liberal art, what makes it so liberal, is because those liberal arts is what's used to do that. That's why you have STEM getting millions and billions of dollars, and the liberal arts and social sciences getting squat, because those are the subjects, the conversations that lead to free and independent thought, by which not institutions are built, but cultures are standing, right? So, like with the public school system, the public school system has always reminded us of a prison, because the same people who built the prisons built the schools.
Oh.
Yeah, the same people. And the whole point was to make workers out of people. So the public school system now, the whole model is an outdated model, because it was based off an industrial revolution, not a technological. So the kids that I teach at the little white school and the little private school, I teach them history. We have our class at a coffee shop. Whereas I got to have my other black kids, if I were to teach them, say like at a public school or whatever, it's got to be in a giant facility that has bars on it, that has metal detectors on it, that's got large bullhorns, large sirens that come on every 50 minutes. And then hundreds of these kids have to get up at all one time and then shoot out, going to God knows where, doing God knows what. And that is very psychologically troubling for kids.
Yeah.
I have some kids that the public school system, they have such a social disorder that they literally cannot function with the volume of people that are around them. Be it in a cafeteria, in a hallway, in a classroom. The classes are too big, the system is too industrialized, and that same horn one that triggers a class change. It's the same horn that would trigger a shift change at a
prison. Yeah.
It's the same one. And if you want to fight on your hands, try to fight to change what is really a trigger. Fight to change what alarm or what ring is used in order to dictate a change in class.
Right.
They will fight you tooth and nail because that is a psychological thing. And the people who are in charge of the psychology know that. They know that it's a holding tank. They know that it is I forget what you call it. But they know those things. And so if you're going to learn, the learning is going to be purely incidental for you being someone incarcerated between the hours of 8 and 3. Right? So learning doesn't have anything to do with that. It doesn't have anything to do with the regiment or the institutionalization that we're putting young people through. And darn right they're going to rebel against it. So we have to understand that learning begins at home, learning begins at church, learning begins in the yard, learning begins at the dinner table, and perpetuating self and moving toward self-reliance and self-actualization, as Maslow says, it should be our main goal.
When you say that you want us to move towards self-reliance and self-actualization, you seem to draw a contrast between that and integrating and assimilating into the society that we live in. Now, I know personally why you do that, but I want you to say for our listeners why you make that distinction and why you don't relate integration as a form of independence making.
Right. Well, because here's the thing is because when you properly analyze the environment that you're in, why would you integrate into a burning house?
That's Martin
Dr.
King.
King said, yes.
Yeah, that's what Martin Luther King said.
That's Martin Luther King.
Why would you? Well, how can you get a degree from your oppressor without some kind of way agreeing to assist him or her?
Right.
You see, as far as who people want to marry, that's their business. But you have to understand, in other cultures, there has to be a lot of concessions made from one group, a person from one group to marry a person from another group, especially when those groups are at odds with each other. And when you do that during a time of war, you're considered a traitor because who in the hell would want to marry a member of a warring tribe unless you yourself have some kind of ulterior motive? Well, if you're not fighting, then that's fine. If there is a state of peace, a state of reconciliation, or even the marriage is done to bring in children that will make the relationship between the two tribes that much more workable and amenable, fine. But you're not going to try to integrate with somebody else unless you're going to try to help them in some kind of way, and you're going to lose your own identity. And I use that phrase, I use that statement because I think or that example, purely because this is not just a black-white issue, it is an issue, period. Why in the world would you want to become next to, sit next to, and sacrifice your own identity? And that's the real issue. The real issue is your identity. It doesn't have anything to do so much with race per se, but it makes no sense to try to lock arms with and become a part of a bunch of oppressors if you are not seeking to assist them in some type of way. That's why critical thought on our part leads toward independent thinking, leads toward what Maslow and others talked about, self-actualization, leads to, because the key components will not be given to you by somebody else. That's why I said to what I said. It is the key components to life itself, the very meaning of our existence, that will not be given to you, especially when people are making millions of dollars over you, or over you thinking you are thought, or thinking you are a pimp or a player, or thinking you are this, that, or the other. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody is going to give up their millions just to make you happy. You have to do that yourself. So you begin to evaluate the many institutions that are set up purely to the Negro's lack of understanding of who he or she is. And so when I forget who it was when they were criticizing, I think it was criticizing. I forgot who they criticized, but I just give the quote because I think the quote helps us. The person said, and it's found in on some of Richard Wright's work. I think it may be a native son. It may not. But the person says black people will pay for their lives. They'll pay for their churches. They'll pay for their fraternities and sororities. They will pay for their homes and their automobiles, but will beg others for education.
Wow.
Now that's a heck of a statement, isn't it?
That is.
That's a heck of a statement. And so education, politically, socially, economically, will not teach you the things that you need to know to be independent from the institution. They will only teach you to be dependent. So the battles at HBCUs, man, you can't look to the HBCU for real, for what I'm talking about, but you're not going to get it. You will get the same standardization that you got at the white school. It'll just be a whole bunch of black people doing it.
Woo. Wow.
That's all. The only thing that will change mostly. That's why I ask people, why do you want to go to the HBCU? If people say, because I want, well, I talk to the parents and say, well, because I want my child to, just be around black people. Hell, they've been around black people their whole life. What pathology that black people have in general is not going to spill over into the HBCU environment. Not a one.
Yeah.
So people will think, but the same pathologies that are across the street from Morehouse in the hood are at Morehouse. The same pathologies that are across the street from Spelman are in Spelman. The same pathologies that are across the street from Alabama State are in Alabama State because it's just one community.
Right.
The HBCU is a part of that community. And if the community is miseducated, the school is in the community that's only miseducated. How can I prove that? I can prove it because the HBCUs have been non-transformative in the communities that they exist.
Wow. Okay.
You don't see property value going up because people live close to HBCU.
Woo.
You don't.
Ooh. Ooh.
So the HBCU coexists with the ghetto, with the hood, because being out there is nothing more than trying to make Negroes conform to white standardization. You will just have Negroes doing it, but you will also have individual teachers now, right?
Yeah.
You will have a counterculture of teachers who have in secrecy and in back rooms sworn to try to teach black people how to be independent. But the same teachers that will teach black people to be independent of white people will also teach black people how to be independent of the Negro leadership class that is taking advantage of our miseducation.
Wow.
It's one and the same. Black people, once they get knowledge of self, when they begin to study for themselves and start taking people's word for it, the first thing that's going to happen are Negro leaders are going to be disqualified.
Wow.
That's the first thing, and that's what I mean, people are going to get up and walk out of church because the preacher will be preaching, and the kid will have a study Bible there, and the preacher ain't preaching nothing that the study Bible talking about. That kid will go on YouTube. That kid and my daughter is a classic example because when you got kids that spend their time doing research and this, that, and the other, and then somebody in the pulpit get up and say something just one historically wrong, biblically wrong, hermeneutically wrong, and they know it, they're leaving and they're not going to come back. I don't give a darn how much time they got in the place. It's done. One kid get knowledge and they begin to understand what has happened to them. Most of your institutions are going to be empty because what they were built off of was not true. So you have to be prepared for that, right? And I tell people all the time, when you teach people about their history and their culture, when you teach people about the truth, then what happens is the teacher understands that they they are preparing themselves not to be needed.
Right.
And that is the economy of the public school system in reverse. Right? Once you teach a kid the truth, what you're saying is you don't need me anymore. Go into the world and do big things.
Right. Right.
But see, you don't have that. You don't have that in our culture. In our culture, you have this sick dependency to where you need me for this. Even though Brother Herschel, Brother Antoine, I don't need a leader.
Yeah. I kind of see
Right
that.
there with you.
I don't
Exactly.
need one. But there's a whole bunch of people that don't need one.
That's
That's right. That's right.
Know what the priorities are. They need somebody to represent them.
That's right.
You see, you can file a representative. That's why your outlook determines how you deal with people. You see, your outlook, it is all about what you know. So I don't practice law. I ain't practice the bit of law. But when I go to McDonald's where the lawyers are sitting, I'm always invited to sit at the table.
All right.
When I go, you know what I'm saying, here and there, they always call me lawyer this, I'm not. But they say attorney this. I ain't practiced the bit of law. First whole time I went to court was to try to deal with a lease revocation. Somebody was saying my house stayed too long. That person made me look like a fool. But I know the law. So it is the knowledge that opens the, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so then it's like this. If I know what you know, how you gonna say you better than me? You see? How you gonna, am I gonna accept that fact? You see? Am I gonna accept the fact that you're better than me when I know what you know? And I'm telling you stuff you can go in there and use, you can put in your brief to cause you to win the case?
Yeah.
Am I gonna look at myself and say, no? You're not gonna look at yourself to be an inferior to somebody if you know what they know. Black kids, as President Douglas said, he himself said that the source of lack of information about his birthday was a source of great unhappiness for him. He said, especially when he got around little white kids who knew their birthdays and he didn't know his. So that's what we're dealing with. Black kids are acting the way they act because they don't know who they are.
Right.
And we have not put the pieces of the puzzle together on the relationship between ignorance and criminal behavior, which we know who has. We don't know that relationship. We don't know, because we'll say this, how come black people doing all the killing? Well, one, that's not true. But,
Exactly.
How come black people are shooting each other in clubs, shooting each other in the back, shooting each other in the parking lot, shooting this, shooting this. All of that has so much to do with the fallout from not knowing what has happened to them in the past.
Right.
All of it. Everything's bitter. And so, until we use that model with police officers, hello,
Yeah.
and say, okay, buddy, you're part of the National Guard. Now, I know that you're carrying that weapon like the National Guard has taught you to carry that weapon. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, the difference is you carry your rifle like that when you're in a war. But when you're on the street, you're just carrying it like you're in a war room.
Right.
Have the local police been militarized?
And if they have been, who's the enemy?
And when the brother is riding down the road, regardless of whether he got a tag on his car, you know, man, I drove like 6 months when I was a teenager without a tag on my car, and nobody say nothing.
Yeah.
And my dad, sometimes we would switch tags on cars, and nobody say nothing. But now, oh, that's a big, you know, that's a major.
Yeah.
Driving without a license, oh, that's all you gotta do is to get normal.
Yeah.
No, that's big. But blue light slip on, they come out with a hand on their pistol, and then they get shot. And they get shot because the person said they were scared, and that person is justified. Because they're scared to death. And you're saying the person with all this training is supposed to be more afraid than the person that they're pulling over?
Exactly. Exactly.
Were you not afraid when you went to Fallujah? Were you not afraid when you went to Afghanistan? Were you not afraid? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you can't go.
Didn't shoot nobody.
Yeah.
Didn't shoot
You
nobody.
shot up a whole village.
Yeah.
And nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
See, all we gotta do is put the pieces of the puzzle together. You gotta know what questions to ask. You gotta ask point at him and said, why are you carrying that weapon like that? You see? SWAT is SWAT, but SWAT is not a military organization. It's not an entity within the police department. You see? They got armored vehicles. When did we start using armored vehicles on American Street?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff, all that stuff was created. James Palmer talks about that. All of that stuff was created to fight black people, tear gas, all that stuff. You wasn't using no tear gas in America until the students on the college campuses started
Protesting the war and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
So when we began to ask these questions and broadcast them and see, another thing is, why police officers more likely to be shot by other police officers?
Yeah.
See, it's because of the dirt that they do, and they can't handle it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go overseas and you shoot up a whole bunch of people, and I know people that have had to do this. You shoot up a whole bunch of people, and then you come back over here, and then you blow a badge and a gun, and you ride around in a town that you're not a citizen of. You actually live in another town, 20, 30 miles away. But you drive in to the war zone, to the third world, do your little time, then you go back out and escape. It's called escapism. But you can't escape when you've done dirt.
Yeah.
You see? So that's why I counsel these brothers, these police officers, because they don't get through a lot, man. And when I talk to you, I heard directly from people.
Yeah.
You see? When the brothers when the cops pull you up, when they've been in a war zone, they are still in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I would love to know, they shot up that UPS truck a couple days ago.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. That right there, that was crazy.
That was, I've never seen nothing like that in civilian life in my life. Man, with all those civilians around, that's crazy. That's
crazy.
crazy.
You had everything. You could have just, they got stuff, man, they got UPS trackers they can throw on your truck or whatever.
Yeah.
And they just track you that way.
They could have tracked them with the helicopter. I mean, if you had four different jurisdictions there.
Yeah.
So everybody.
So one of them unloaded on.
That truck looked like Swiss cheese, man. I couldn't believe it.
But this is what I'd like to ask. I would like to know the number of those police officers who were actually in the military. I would like to know that.
Yeah.
And have evidence, see, because here's the thing. We set up with my church, we set up a thing for counseling for police officers, right?
Yeah.
And get watch this. Our church don't pay for it. Ain't God good?
Yes, sir.
So watch this. The thing is that if they go to their bosses about counseling,
yeah,
they get their badge taken and they gun.
And they're gonna take it. Yeah, I know some that has happened too.
So you can walk around. These brothers can walk around with a whole lot of stuff on their heart, and it's kind of hard not to when they pull somebody over not to take that out on them. It's very hard, especially when they got power.
Yeah.
So our approach is a scientific approach, but that's the difference right there between something that will support dependency on an institution and something that will free and liberate people from it. There is no need for a public school anymore. No need. Knowledge is so accessible. The methodology is there. You can have learning cells and learning groups, but you're going to have to reorganize yourself when it's time to play football, basketball. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Then you got a whole bunch of people who have to work at plants and work at Walmart because, they don't have nobody to teach. You see what I'm saying? We don't need administrators for that type of stuff.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But all of this stuff, when the Negro liberate himself, it's a whole lot. Do you realize how many rim shops gonna close? when the Negroes know who they are, you realize how many beauty shops gonna close because they already figured out they're beautiful without all that stuff. And they say scientific stuff, and I've been telling people for this because it's like this. People say, I am what I am, but here's the thing. It's like, my black sisters are a little different. And my thesis was this. Now, I used to be in the world. Okay, fellas?
Yeah, I heard you preach. Come on.
And here's the thing, is that my thesis was the difference between black women and other women was the chemicals that they were putting in their hair. Now, you got to understand, my mama was an endocrinologist. My daddy was a biochemist.
Okay.
All right? I would look at on what the stuff that's in the bottle and it's called beauty product as if you're not already beautiful. And you look at the chemicals that are in that stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're introducing yourself to that stuff, lie and all that type of stuff, phosphates and this and that and the other. All of those are heavy metals, aluminum, all that stuff in your conditioner and in your shampoo, in your perms and all of that type of stuff. When that stuff saturated in your brain and in your bloodstream, that's gonna have some effects.
Right.
And so, but once if you figure out you're beautiful, do you realize the Koreans gonna have to go back to Seoul? Because they ain't making no money out black folks no more, because we figured out we don't need that stuff. The little cheap dresses and the little cheap stuff they sell in the store to the little girls because they don't have enough money to buy these quality clothes, so they got to wear the little skimpy little stuff and that's why. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Say once you get knowledge of self, everybody who's making money off you is over.
I know that's right.
It's done. You know, sisters don't need no lightning cream. If God made you black, then hey, you need to walk in it.
That's right.
You see, you don't have to be, you know, we still got all that kind of that, but that ain't nothing but miseducation. That's all it is. We ignorant, we don't know no better. But what happens when all that's over with? You see, that's what we talking about. We talking about the fallout when the Negroes just get a little information about who they are, just a little bit.
That's what I was saying to Antoine earlier. The knowledge of self, how important that is. You know, because once you realize, like you said, once you realize who and what you are, you don't need to appease massa or nobody else. You know, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get people of like minds. Not trying to. Let me stop saying that. What we do is trying to get people of like minds to spread this information. And like I said, that's why I asked earlier. You know, as far as people getting together, whether, you know, in places where there's no repercussions, like you said, in the school systems, your hands are tied. In the education system, your hands are tied. So you have to have groups, like you said, reading groups or mentoring groups that teach people about themselves.
Right, exactly.
You know.
Yeah, and that's what does it. And all you're doing is just sharing information, right? You're having a discussion about something, right? You're sitting down with teenagers and saying, let's talk about the light skin, dark skin thing. Where does it come from? You know? And see, because here's the thing about it. Once you learn the origin of something, you're about to defeat it. The only reason why you want to know where something comes from is because you're about to end it. Everything has a beginning and an end, right? Well, so what happens is that the end, you know that something is about to pass from death to life when you understand its origin.
Right.
You see? And so we don't want to talk about origins. We don't want to talk about, and watch this in people, is that you will find people, the people who hate dark skin are also people who hate history. Look at that, watch that. Watch the relationship between people who are, I forget what you call it, Haitians have a word for it, but people who hate dark skin are also people who do not want to talk about their own personal history.
Really?
Yeah. Because of what it represents. See, the hatred of black is not the hatred of Negro. The hatred of black is the hatred of origin and history. It is actually the hatred of a conversation. You see?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in occult circles, what happens is through their initiations in white occult, European occult circles, and Hershey, you should know this, you know, being a Mason and all that. Well, the whole Masonic ritual, the whole aspect of it is dealing with what's called a peer eternus and dealing with a person coming to grip that their mama is black. Yeah, it's coming to grip with that historical reality. And so, with what whites do in their secret societies and whatever, it is psychologically dealing with the fact that their origin is from black.
Ah, I got you.
You see what I'm saying? That is all of it. And so you have different occult rituals and you have different things that are done. We ain't gonna talk about it on the show because it's a little obscene, but we'll talk about it in person about what people do, white people do to try to get over that.
Wow.
Yeah, so hating black skin, hating black, it all you so black or whatever, no, it don't have nothing to do with that. It actually has to do with we cannot talk about our history. We cannot talk about the stuff that has happened to us because it is too painful. See, that's why you have Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud was doing his best to get black people out, to get his people out of Judaism because he said Judaism is a black religion.
Yes.
Well, where did that come from?
Yeah. The truth, right?
And so yeah, it's some wild stuff, man. It's and so it's very simple to us, but I mean, you know what I'm saying. But when you look at the origin of stuff and where stuff comes from, I was talking with one brother here, Hebrew Israelite, and he was saying, "Well, black people are original Jews." I was like, "Well, black people are original everything."
Pretty much.
We just ain't the original. We the original everything. We the original Muslims. We the original Christians. We the original. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
That also means we were the original sinners.
Preach on, preacher. Come on with it.
You gotta be original to everything.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
It's all of us. 99.9%.
That's right. You are the daddy.
Yeah. So so that's the thing. It's just a quest for knowledge. That's all it is. And so many people do not want us to know. I took a picture. I went up to, and y'all can do this too. Go to Children's Hospital in Birmingham at the Russell Field. Walk through the door, look at the left. You got a giant black Santa Claus. Took a picture of it. So where that come from?
A giant
Whoever
black
did that, I need to meet that person because they know exactly what they do. Because that is historically correct, you see. And so, when you begin to ask, well, you think that person, they just trying to be funny. No, people can be historically correct and you not even know it. People that in art, but if you don't teach art appreciation, you wouldn't know that. So you teach art appreciation and you do it from a historical perspective, not an iconoclast perspective, right?
Right.
Because here again, when you teach white kids that Christopher Columbus discovered America, you're doing that because you're trying to preserve an institution, not tell the truth.
Right.
And to the point to where when we say, no, it didn't happen, it didn't happen like that. People always call that revisionist history. And no, it ain't revisionist history, it's the true history. What you're pushing out there is propaganda. So, the education that we're under, even with black principals and black teachers, regardless of who it is that's doing it, forget who's doing it. It's what they're doing. It's just basically keeping black people in the situation that they're in. And so, I tell students that, you may have had people that care about your school, and you may have had people that got on to you when you get wrong, and gave you the emotional support that you needed, and just they teach a darn thing. They teach anything.
Right.
And you've got to acknowledge that for what it is, as being a fraud and a sham. They just did it with a smile, and they were very courteous to you, that's all.
Yeah.
But when you try to get knowledge, man, that's the whole thing about the ordeal that you go through when you join an organization or whatever. You got to go through an ordeal because your quest for knowledge is going to cost you something.
Right.
And you don't care whether the person is disrespectful to you or may be trying and testing your patience by being somewhat antagonistic to you. You have to, one of the 10 runs for a neophyte is that you have to learn in the midst of persecution and antagonism. You can't learn unless you're being antagonized.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Am I right or wrong?
Yes, sir.
So that's my, so that's what I tell the boys in the fraternities for. You may have crossed, you may have got your pen or whatever. But them 10 things that the neophyte's supposed to have, that's for your own personal benefit, bro. You see what I'm saying? So I'm talking to these brothers like I'm a part of their stuff, but they really a part of my stuff.
I know that's right.
That's why you got this, like I said, when when you know you ain't gonna sit down and you gonna look at people as being your child. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In their mind, they may think they comparing to you in some glamorous, weird kind of way, but what you got in your heart and in your head, they would die to receive.
Yeah. You know what? Unfortunately, as usual, if you was here, we wouldn't have this problem because we continue to record. But you know, our hour is drawing near.
All right, man.
What I want you, do you have any parting words, anything you want to lay on the audience before you go?
Man, I done said enough, but I wore y'all out, but I love y'all.
Same here.
We still making, we still trying to get down there, but every time, like I said, every time I try to head down that highway, come up.
Stop blaming stuff on your wife. Because next time I say, stop blaming stuff on your wife. And when I say, I'm going to ask her.
No, actually, well, just with meetings and stuff.
Yes, sir. I know you're very busy, and I appreciate you joining us any chance that you get. You know, things that you have to share with us.
All the work that y'all are doing, y'all are two of the most zealous brothers that I know, and God is blessing y'all, so keep doing it. And let's just continue to do what we're doing. Continue to work together, and we can move into this next phase about getting a lot of this research out, publishing it, because like the stuff I said about the police officers and all that, we're gonna hit the road, baby. We're gonna go public with it.
Well, all right now. All right.
Well, look, we love y'all, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Thank you. Love you too.
All right.
All right. You've been listening to Real Talk with Pastor Robert O. White from Dr. Pastor Robert O. White from Montgomery, Alabama, City of Refuge. And again, you know,
professor of African Humanities at Alabama State.
Yeah, that's right. Anything I forget, Antoine, you make sure you jump right in there. Again, these are the things that we're talking about. We have to take our education very seriously. When I say our education, we have to educate ourselves. And we really do have to come into a real knowledge of self, Antoine, and we'll stop accepting so much garbage from any and every one.